Today on The American Land Seller, we're looking at a side of land that doesn't always get the spotlight, but it affects everything from underwriting to land deals to how data gets shared across ag and rural real estate. I'm joined by Corbett Kull, a tech entrepreneur with deep roots in agriculture and a track record of building real solutions for the land world. Corbett's the CEO of Camo Ag, a geospatial platform that's helping companies from lenders to farm managers to brokers and many more make smarter, faster decisions by actually seeing the land and its data in context. You're going to hear about how Corbett went from Motorola to the ag tech world, eventually leading 640 Labs, which was eventually acquired by Monsanto, now Bayer, and now leading the charge at Camo Ag. We're going to cover why spreadsheets and siloed data are holding rural professionals back, what geospatial platforms like Camo Ag actually do in plain English, how brokers and agents can use this kind of technology to stand out, speed things up, and serve our clients better. If you're tired of piecing things together with PDFs, or you ever wondered what's actually possible with better land data, this one's really worth the listen.
Welcome to the American Land Seller Podcast with your host, Kobe Rickardson. Kobe is an accredited land consultant and multi-state land broker with High Point Land Company. Join us each week as we explore all things land. We bring you fresh insights and expert guests on sales, marketing, regulations, economics, and so much more. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms.
Okay, Kobe and our special guests, let's get started.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the American Land Seller Podcast. And you know what? I'm super excited once again. I get the best guests. I tell you, I don't know how it happens for somebody that's in the middle of Nebraska, but man, this is a tool that I use. So Corbett Kull is here with me from Camo Ag. Corbett, how are you today?
Doing great. Talking to you from beautiful Memphis.
I know you're on the road today, sitting in I don't know if you're in a hotel or airport or where you're at, but
my typical Hampton Inn, Kobe.
The Hampton Inn, man. You know, I am actually just in the between on the road right now. So got back from Iowa late last night, and I'm getting ready to leave for Oklahoma first thing Monday morning. So I know what it's like to be on the road, and so I really do appreciate you taking the time in your busy schedule to join us to talk about your amazing platform, Camo Ag. First of all, Corbett, let's start with what was the vision? I guess let's just kind of describe what is Camo Ag to the folks that maybe don't understand what this platform is.
So Camo Ag is a land platform. It's also kind of a farmer platform. Some people on the team call it a land and people intelligence platform or a land and farmer intelligence platform.
Yeah.
But we really got started in the land. And Kobe, and I guess that's, first of all, thank you for being a customer. We appreciate it. But that's really where we got started, is helping people understand the value of farmland. And now we've expanded into more information about not just the land, but also the farmers that are farming the land, helping people that are selling to those farmers just do a better job of working with farmers, understanding who they should be selling to. So it's really a tool that's getting used by ag brokers like yourself. It's getting used in the ag lending area. We're used quite a bit by the farm credit system and other ag bankers. And now it's being used quite a bit in what we call agribusiness, which is seed sales teams, retailers, tractor dealerships, tractor manufacturers. So it's really starting to kind of spread throughout the agricultural industry.
Yeah, that's it is really kind of interesting because I've joined High Point Land Company last year, and these guys were really like full bore with your program with the with one section of the company, with more of the appraisers, and not so much with the land sales team. But man, like you guys were able to really show us how you can be a benefit to every aspect of our company. Can you just kind of just let's start at the beginning. What was the vision of this when you were first starting up at Camo Ag? Like, what was the thing that you thought, hey, we were really missing this in the ag space?
So maybe let's roll the clock back just a little bit.
Okay.
So I previously had started a company called 640 Labs, and we were
Sure.
acquired by Monsanto. And with 640 Labs, we had a product called the Drive that helped collect data off of farm machinery, tractors, combines, etc., and allowed farmers to visualize that data, kind of keep track of everything they were doing on the farm. And it was kind of through that experience, both at 640 Labs and post acquisition with Monsanto, that I just discovered there weren't really great data tools on the land side of the business. Everything from what is a farm worth? What should a farm be renting for? If I am a landowner, how do I keep track of my farm, keep records around the farm? So that's just kind of rolling the clock back a little bit, like how I got interested in it. So said another way, there's a lot of tools out there that farmers are using every day. There's actually a lot of technology they are using, but there's been less development for folks like yourself of how to help you do your job better. And then obviously for the ag bankers and ag salespeople, et cetera. So really just identified that opportunity. Now, if we roll the clock back really far, I grew up in Southern Illinois. I did not grow up on a farm, but all of my friends, or a good portion of my friends, were farm kids. I witnessed what happened during the early '80s and some of the challenges that took place in those farm families. So that was kind of my early exposure. My great grandparents had a farm, but I myself did not grow up on a farm. I got interested, I guess, kind of mid or in the latter part of my career in agriculture, really when I started 640 Labs with a good friend of mine who did grow up on a farm in Iowa. And, fast forward here to today, founder and CEO of Camo Ag.
Yeah, that technology that I did grow up on a farm, so I joke, like with the farmers and stuff like that, that I did it old school where you still had to hold your hand on the steering wheel and control the tractor, but no, in the technology, we had, and I've mentioned this several times, but we had a local producer here that was on the podcast several episodes ago that talked about just the data that they have for producing just soybean, corn, different things that we have in our area. That we are now, as land sales people, really trying to dive into using not just that data, but also sales data and things like that, because our industry has been one of, we've really wanted to keep all that data in-house, right? So my sales data as a farm seller, I want to know what the sales is, and I don't want anybody else to know, right? And so that benefits me because then nobody else can go to anybody else and hire anybody else to sell the farm. And so what I really love what you guys are doing, and especially in some of those states where it's really hard to find that data unless you go directly to the guy that sold, 12 of the last 15 farms, you're really opening up the opportunities for guys to go in and that maybe have better marketing skills to go in and have an opportunity in those areas where it's been really rough to do that before because you have the data.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's interesting, Kobe, you're a good example of this. You cover quite a bit of territory, don't you?
Sure. Yeah, I do.
And having access to the data to be able to make good decisions and to make sure that you're getting your clients, top dollar for their farm, for you to come in and kind of be an expert throughout your territory. It's really dependent upon at your fingertips, having good sales data so that you can do a good job of helping those clients out. So, one of the things I think people don't understand that's fundamentally different about selling farms versus selling houses, there's not really an MLS for farmland. So if you're a residential broker, right, in especially in like a major metro area, well, they can go into the MLS, right, and see every listing. They can see what every house is sold for recently, et cetera. But in rural areas, especially as it relates to farmland, most farms do not end up on an MLS. There's not a nationwide MLS for land, really. So it's been a challenge, I think, for brokers like yourself to say, okay, I picked up a farm in XYZ County. What are the sales in this county? How far back can I go? So there's fundamentally, I think, some differences between the residential space and if you're a farmland broker or a land broker.
Right. Well, and not only that, but then to be able to understand, like, even if you do have the data, what exactly are we looking at? And that's another real interesting part of it is you may have a farm that's sold for 75% higher than anything else we've seen. So we need to understand why that happened. That may have been that love property that the guy next door has been watching for, years. And, somebody's cousin bid it up at a farm sale because he knew that was the case or something like that, So I think, like I said, love what you guys are doing. And especially since, data is the world we live in. And so the more data that we can have, the better off we are. So let's take a quick break and we will be right back. The American Land Seller Podcast is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit LandHub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. LandHub.com, where your land journey begins. Okay, we're back here with Corbett Kull from Camo Ag. Corbett, like I said, we've talked about this. I am somebody that uses this. I've used it for several years. I think it's a great program. Your guys are all like one of the best in the world at creating value for your clients. Not only I see them at the expos and stuff like that, or at the conferences that I go to. They always have the time to geek out with me on what they're up to. One of your best unpaid employees, David Whitaker, he's always out there with like the latest and greatest on what you guys are up to. He's always fun to hang out with. But talk about like, how did you guys come up with like just continually creating even just like the feature of the week, that kind of keeping the new stuff and even the old stuff in front of your current users, because that's not really something that's inside of today's sales model, right? Like Verizon doesn't offer deals to the people that are already Verizon dealers, type of deal.
Yeah. So first of all, I appreciate you pointing out or calling out David Whitaker. He is a great guy. Has done an awesome job referring business to us, right? And
he does do
and really being an advocate for Camo Ag. So thank you, David. Great broker. So if anybody's looking for somebody to work with, give David a call. We're constantly looking for ways to improve the platform and also help really just create more value for our customers, right? And that we're constantly improving the software. I think this is somewhat of a truism. Software is never done, right?
Right.
If you have software that you use that's not being improved, it gets out of date and it gets stale pretty quickly. So that applies to a couple of things, right? Number one, it applies to the features of the software, and then two, especially for you, Kobe, it applies to the data, right? Like we have to constantly be going out there pulling more data into the platform, more farm sales, more data layers, auction data, et cetera. So literally every day we're pulling data in from a variety of different sources and automatically uploading that, to the platform. So somebody like yourself gets, really the full benefit of the most up-to-date data on farm sales, auctions, et cetera. In terms of features of the week, I wish I could take credit for that. I think that goes to Jesse on our team. We're constantly adding new features, and we don't expect you guys to read a user manual or go to our help center or whatever. So we're just trying to push out these new capabilities to folks and then call attention to them. But we're constantly improving things. One thing I would like to point out is we've made a huge investment in search, because like when a prospective client calls you up on the phone, it's usually something like, "Hey, Kobe, I got this farm I want to sell. Can you help me sell it?" And you're like, "Okay, well, where is it?" "Well, it's in such and such county. I'm not exactly sure what road it's on, but I've been there a couple of times." So then you're on a little bit of a, hunt through the woods, literally, to find the parcel that they might want to sell, right? So we've made a huge investment in search. So you can search by, obviously, the landowner's name across all 50 states. You can search by mailing address, which normally if somebody's calling you up, right, you can say, okay, well, where does the tax bill go? You can search by section, township, and range. You can search by county. Heck, even if you just have a partial address or a partial name, usually you can find the parcel that you're interested in. So anyway, that's just an example of a feature that you would think is not that big a deal, but first and foremost, especially if you're a broker, you got to find the parcel that the prospect has called you up on to help you, be able to put a value on it, right? It's hard to put a value on something if you don't know the parcel. So that's just a good example. And we've pushed out a few features of the week, highlights of even the search feature.
Yeah, no, and but like that to me, it's just it's one of those things though. It's real easy to get that mindset that once you sign a contract, hey, gotcha, so on to the next sale, right? And it's refreshing, I guess, just for me to point that out there, that unsolicited feedback, I guess, but that just a constant reminder to us that are using it that, hey, there's more out there than just probably what you guys signed up for. And and that joy to be able to share with us that you guys have all this robustness to your platform. So
Kobe, one other thing I'd like to point out, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go.
And this is a hot button for me. If you have a question, call us. We pick up the phone. A lot of software companies don't pick up the phone. We do pick up the phone. My team may, hate me for saying this, but I do, customer service and making sure that if somebody does run into a problem or you have questions, email us, give us a call. Heck, give me a call. I will answer the question. I think that's super important. But in addition to that, the software is never done. We're constantly making improvements to it. But please don't. This is true for whether you're a customer or not a customer. Give us a call and we'll walk you through. We'll help you understand how to use the platform. But we're not afraid of talking to our customers.
Yeah, I think that, well, I mean, we've found out that's true. Brian Reynolds from Nebraska here, one of our agents, he was having an issue with like the way the data was coming through, and he picked up the phone, called, and I think it was just a matter of like there was the data was flipped, the switch was flipped wrong or something, and as soon as it was set up correctly, it was amazing how quickly you guys resolved it. And so that's very true, very easy to deal with, and it was within like an hour, I think, that we resolved it instead of days. So I can contest to that. You're not lying. Pick up the phone, ask questions, don't be mad, don't no don't go to bed mad, just get it off your chest, and and so that we can have a good relationship. But let's talk about what. So we use this because we want to make sure that this is just one tool. There's many tools that we use to try and come up with values on properties. This is one of them that we start with because we want to find the comparables, really, and this is my main tool. I want to go find out what's sold recently. Um, I guess that's kind of I build my farm in Camo Ag, and then immediately I go find the comparables. It also brings in soil datas and all this other stuff. Is that kind of what you guys' main goal was at least for the land brokers, is to try and help us find comparables and get that soil, that land data that came along with it, so we can build a report to help us get that value on the property? Is that kind of what the goal was, or what was the initial idea behind Camo Ag?
Yeah, the initial idea was, especially as it pertains to brokers, but this also applies to appraisers as well. Um, you know, being able to, at your fingertips, identify the comp sales, the farms in the vicinity of let's say, the subject property that you're trying to do a broker's opinion on, um, is very important, right? Not all farms are created equal. So let's talk about, how you choose from your comparable farms, or how you choose the comparable farms. Well, one thing would be size, like how many acres is a property. Another thing would be percent tillable. So obviously we've got our parcel layer and our farm layer, which allows you to carve the parcel up into production and non-production land. So that helps you put a value on a farm. You mentioned soils. Obviously, there's a big difference between high quality soils and lower quality soils. There are other things such as flooding, right? Are we talking bottom ground that floods every other year? Is the property well drained? And then obviously the crops that are growing on it, right? I mean, there can be a big swing on, is this land that has just had, grass on it, or is it corn and bean ground? Or you cover a pretty diverse area, so you probably see a fair amount of wheat, and heck, maybe you even see some cotton in certain areas. So, I mean, that obviously that can impact the value of the land. So, as a broker, what you are trying to do is you're trying to do a like for like analysis, right? Farms like this have sold for this amount. And then the other thing, you mentioned this earlier, who were the buyers and sellers of those close by farms, right? So that will tell you a little bit of, did this property sell for a lot of money because it got bid up by the neighbor?
Right.
Which, a farm may only come up once in a generation for sale. So that could justify a very, very high price. That also helps you determine who your list of buyers might be, right? You and I discussed when we were getting ready for the call. You need to give those neighbors a call or stop by and say, "Hey, would you be interested in this property?" So researching who the landowners, the large landowners, and who the buyers and sellers in the vicinity of a property are. So those are all just different data layers that we have in the platform that brokers like yourself can use. Now, above and beyond that, if you're an ag banker, and you're using the platform, you're probably looking at, mortgage data. You may also be looking at, who the producers in the area are as well. And then obviously if you're in ag seed sales or something like that, right, you probably care more about the operators or the producers in the area than just the landowners. So those are just examples of data layers that we have in the platform that a broker like yourself can use to help put an accurate value on farmland.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is like, okay, so years ago, initially when I got my subscription to Camo Ag and started using it, absolutely, my initial thought is that I'm building a report. It's a semi-sexy report that I'm going to be able to hand to my client. Got my branding on it, and that it's got my comparables on it. It's got the soil data. It's got all this other data on it. Since then, we've all of a sudden we got to the point where now I've got, and we've talked about this in the break, is you've got the search feature on here. Now I can go to the point you just made about I want to notify all the neighbors, right? I want to let them know. So I can go in there and I can say, I want, 200 addresses surrounding that property that I can send a bold postcard to, that I can say, hey, we're selling this property. We want to make sure you guys know, which has now become a part of my business model, right? So now I want to let the neighbors know. That search feature, I think, is becoming probably one of the bigger selling points, correct? Like that's become a huge feature of Camo Ag.
Yes, search, being able to find the property quickly, and list building, being able to build that marketing list. It's allowing you to serve your customers in the highest possible way, right? And
Yeah.
you and I discussed previously, selling a farm is more than just pounding a sign into the field and calling it a day, right?
Right. Yeah.
And, you can sell farms that way. But if you are really trying to do the best job you can for your clients, it's pounding a sign into the farm, but it's making sure that you are bringing an audience around that farm, a list of buyers around that farm that both live near and far. I think one of the things that's happened, Kobe, in the land business, especially over the last 10 to 15 years, heck, even over the last 3 or 4 years, I think the world has become much more aware of the value of farmland. It has been a pretty darn good investment. Well, guess what? The buyer of that farm that you're selling, that buyer could be anywhere.
Yeah.
It could be in New York. It could be in California. So your responsibility to your clients, and every broker's responsibility to the client, is to get the highest possible price and bring the largest list of buyers to that. So before tools like Camo Ag, it was a lot more difficult. So we're really trying to make your job easier so you can spend more time with your clients. You mentioned the reports, the market analysis that we create. It's got your branding on it so that you can do a very professional job, have a work product that you can leave behind with them, and let them know that you know what you're doing. And I think it helps differentiate folks like yourself, right? Like you're a professional in this business. You can do the best job of valuing a farm. So it's our job to give you the best possible tools and the best possible data and the most up to date data. Here's a good example. We spend quite a bit of time pulling auctions and auction data into the platform. A lot of times, especially if you're not in that area, you may not know that a farm just closed last week or 2 weeks ago. And you need that very, very up-to-date data, if at all possible, to put the most accurate value on a farm. That's something that I think a lot of people don't realize. We are pulling a great deal of auction data into the platform, a lot of that has not even hit the public records yet. Like you could call the county assessor, that county assessor may not even know yet.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about that when we come back from the break. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about just kind of where that data is coming from, because you are getting this stuff from a multitude of different places. But if you don't mind, we're going to take a break, and we will be right back.
Land isn't just dirt. It's where memories are made, families are raised, and livelihoods are built. But when it comes time to sell or buy, the weight of the decision is heavy. Where do you even start? Who can you trust to guide you? For too long, land transactions have been treated like a simple exchange. Numbers on a paper, a signature on a line. But it's more than that. At High Point Land Company, we don't just list land. We walk it, we learn its story, and we find the right buyer who understands its worth. You are not just another deal. You are the steward of something bigger. And we are here to help you navigate every step of the way. When it's time to sell, when it's time to buy, we're here. Because land is more than just land. It's your legacy.
All right, we are back with Corbett Kull from Camo Ag. Corbett, you said to me something interesting, that you don't really have a headquarters. Like you have like people hanging out in like 9 states or 6 countries, or I don't know, like something like what is it? 9 states, but you're from the great metropolis of Chicago, correct?
Yeah, so I'm based out of suburban Chicago, but we're one of those fully remote companies. That in the real estate business, like most real estate brokerages are kind of remote as well. But yeah, we're very distributed. We do have a small office in suburban Chicago, but really a remote first company. We leaned into that with the pandemic, and it's been great for us. And we do get together periodically as a company. We will typically have like a harvest day where we'll come out to a farm and ride in combines, tractors, semis, and stuff, especially for the folks that are not as familiar with agriculture. Although at this point, most of the team has quite a bit of experience now. But yeah, just trying to do things to make sure that all the employees are well educated about agriculture.
Yeah, to touch and taste what it is exactly what you're up to and why you're doing it, huh? That's fun. But yeah, we've still got a couple of offices around the country, but I would say that a lot of our agents with High Point are remote, out on their own little islands doing their own things. So, but no, let's talk about data. We're in the data age, I think we're moving into the the age of what what's the next age?
I don't know. Is it artificial
artificial intelligence? Is that what it is? But the world revolves around data. Where exactly is the data that you guys are getting? I mean, it's coming from a ton of different places, right? You're not just sitting there with a couple of people sitting at a chair typing all this stuff in from reports from brokers all over the country, right? There's a bunch of stuff that's coming in, and you're getting the data from that, correct?
Correct. So we get data through a variety of different aggregators. There are some big national players, so we're pulling it from 2 or 3 of the large national players. There are some local, more local data sources. For example, like Land Sales Bulletin, which I think covers 9 or 10 states. So we've got a
Sure.
pretty close working relationship with them. And then on top of that, we are pulling in auction data that is, relatively real time. So both live auctions, things that are going to be auctioned into the future. You can see those in the platform, as well as recent auctions that have closed. So that's like near real time. Usually within a few days of an auction closing, we'll have that in the platform. Then on top of that, we have private data. So what private data would be, let's say High Point, you can record all of your sales data in the platform. Now, the difference with that is any private data in the platform remains private to your organization. So let's say you have somebody on your team that is entering either your sales in or just other, let's say you had somebody attend an auction, they can record that in the platform for your own benefit. We do not look at the data that you guys are entering into the platform or any of our customers. Any of the data that we're pushing out to you guys, that's from public sources. And then anytime you privately author a comp data, so a comparable sale data, that stays private to your organization. There are some cases where certain organizations have agreed to share some data, but that's handled on a case by case basis. Anything you do in the platform is private to your organization. We don't look at it. We don't do anything with that. So those are the sources of the data, and it's coming from hundreds, thousands of counties, and literally every day. Now there can be a lag on some of the sales data, obviously, right? Because the counties don't report sales instantaneously, right? But we have both the transaction data, then we also have the county assessor data as well. And then I think Kobe, for a number of the counties, we have links directly to the county assessor's website. So we call them convenience links. So if you click on a parcel, in a lot of cases, if you see that as a hyperlink, you can click on that. It will take you directly to the county, it's a pretty cool feature to be able to very quickly go and maybe dig in a little bit deeper on a property and see if there's anything else that you need to know about that specific parcel or that farm.
Yeah. No, that's that's interesting because, like I would be kind of curious to know, like, what's the hierarchy? There's got to be like data coming in on sales, and how does it identify, like if you have data coming in on the same sale 5 different times, how does, there's got to be a way that it'll identify, hey, this is the same property. Is it, property ID number, or does your system must identify that and then just say, oh, this is the same one? And if there's a data difference, does it just kick it to somebody to make a decision? Or
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. One, when you're doing a comparable market analysis or you're looking at sales, you can turn different data sources on and off, right? So you can sometimes be in certain areas where there's just too much, right? You just want to turn off some of the sources. In terms of that hierarchy, I forget exactly how we set that, but in some cases, what is interesting, it can actually be helpful to look at multiple sources on the same transaction, because guess what? Mistakes happen,
right.
right? Sometimes they'll miss a parcel. Sometimes perhaps the acreage could be off. Heck, we've even seen keying errors, right? Where the data source that we're pulling in, they just flat out made a mistake, right? So the combination of those things can make it helpful to look at, if multiple sources have the same transaction, it can actually be helpful to see the multiple transactions. But I'll be honest with you, I forgot exactly how we prioritize it. So I'll have to get Jesse on the phone or something with you to see how we prioritize those.
That's all right. You've been pretty on top of things so far. I'm going to give you this one on on a lookup, I guess.
Well, I mean, you can ask the team. I'm probably one of the heavier users of the platform. I use it quite a bit, so I feel like if you're going to sell something, you better know how to use it. So that applies to a lot of different things. But I'm a pretty big user of the platform myself.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty user friendly. I mean, it's if I can use it, I always say you made it to the point where most people can can handle it. So, so what? I'm gonna stump you now because I use the product, so I want to know like what would I not know, or maybe what's coming up that is exciting that maybe we could let people know that's going to be new and the next big thing with Camo Ag.
Well, so a few things, and one thing that again I just don't think people are aware enough of is we have invested very heavily in search, and it is super fast, very slick, and very good. And it is a search across the entire country. So both for yourself, you being a professional, but others who are not professionals using the platform, give search a shot.
Yeah.
You know, it I think everybody knows how to use Google search, right? But I think you will be surprised at how well it works. Even heck, you can do and search for something like search for Walmart or search for Apple or Microsoft, et cetera. You will see all the parcels that they own in the country. So it's really kind of crazy. So just a shout out to search. If you haven't used it yet, I would highly recommend it. A couple of quick previews. We are working on some tools that will help brokers like you drive even more engagement with your customers and with your prospects. And just a little bit of a veiled, hint, but it will make your website even more powerful than it is already, and it will hopefully help drive more engagement uh, with your website and help bring in more customers, help bring in more leads. So stay tuned on that. A little bit of a sneak peek. The last thing I'll leave you with is Camo Ag is mobile responsive, so you can use it on your phone in a web browser.
That's right.
And it works. It works quite well. You can even turn on location services, and if you're standing right next to a farm or whatever, you can see exactly where you are. If it's a section, right? It's easy to get kind of confused, like where you're at on a property sometimes. But we are working on some more mobile capabilities to help you when you're in the pickup truck out there selling to folks. So just a little bit of a sneak peek there. So stay tuned. Should be coming out here pretty soon, and I think you'll like it. It's going to help you out quite a bit.
I'm excited to see what you guys are working on because I have not been disappointed yet, and definitely just the search feature is something like I think the first time I was introduced to it and I heard the price tag on it, I was a little sticker shocked. But when you sit down and figure out what you get for what you guys are charging, it's ridiculously reasonable. And I think everybody in this business, I mean, it's one flat fee if it's still the same as it was. So I don't know if you're talking prices today or whether you want people just to get a hold of your team, but it's I will tell you that it is probably one of the coolest features in the business if you're looking for I always say that the best thing to do in this business is something. No matter what, it's something. Just go do something. And so one of the things that we've incorporated in our office is like if we don't have anything better to do, we pull search up and we just start searching ridiculous things and then, start contacting people. And so one of the, like who's buying stuff in whatever county, and so we'll go pull up, we'll be able to find who's buying property right now in X County, Nebraska, or X County, Kansas, or X County, Colorado. And using, another tool that we have, we can find those phone numbers and we can just start calling up and talking to people about what they're buying, what they're looking for, and see if we can help them, And so, because we have search also that will find out what they're buying, so we can go make other phone calls to find out what people want to sell, And so it's a very fun tool to use, and especially if you're nosy and just want to find out information, it's incredible.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Kobe. I should have mentioned this. Pretty soon you'll be able to get phone numbers and email addresses through the platform as well. So you won't even have to go to another tool. But in terms of pricing, it's less than a tank of gas per month.
Yeah.
So it's really, especially for an ag professional like yourself, a broker, right? Like, dude, how many tanks of gas do you go through a month, right? It's a lot, right? Because you're driving all over the place. So it's less than that. It's quite affordable, and the time that you can save, both from a prospecting standpoint, but also just in serving your clients, it's well worth the money.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know why this is one of those tools that it's just I feel like I'm almost giving away too much by offering this one up to my competition, because but I highly recommend it. I can't say enough good things about what you guys are up to, sir. Anything else before we jump off here? Anything we missed?
No, I don't think so, Kobe. I really appreciate the opportunity today. We really value your business. We appreciate working with High Point. You guys have been awesome. So look to continue to work with you guys in the future. And if you ever have any ideas for anything you would like for us to add to the platform, just give me a call, and we'd love to talk to you.
That is one thing I will say before I go, is I know for a fact that you guys are very open to looking at any sort of crazy ideas, because you do pick up the phone when David calls you. So and he has got lots of ideas. Most of them are pretty awesome, but we are going to go ahead and put your website information and probably your company phone number in the show notes so that people can get a hold of your company if they're interested in. I think, do you do a test drive for people, or just or maybe?
We can do trials. If folks want to do a trial, just give us a call or drop us an email, and we'll get you set up.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Like I said, get a hold of these guys. This is something you need to have in your toolbox for sure. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us today, and we will see you all down the road.
As we wrap up another episode of the American Land Seller Podcast, thank you for joining us. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms. If you would be so kind and you enjoyed today's insights, please like, subscribe, rate, follow, and review us on whatever app you are listening or watching on. Connect with us on social media for updates. Until next week, Kobe wishes you success in your land endeavors. God bless you, and have a great week.
The American Land Seller is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. Are you in the market for the perfect piece of land? Look no further than LandHub.com, your solution to the biggest challenges facing land buyers and sellers today. At LandHub, we're revolutionizing land transactions by effectively connecting buyers and sellers. Say goodbye to the struggle of finding or marketing land for sale. We understand the power of new media marketing, leveraging social media and targeted ads to bring together the ideal audience for all property types. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit landhub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. Landhub.com, where your land journey begins. and High Point Land Company. When it comes to buying and selling land, High Point Land Company sets the standard for excellence across the Midwest and beyond. Our expert land specialists bring unmatched market knowledge and a personal touch to every single transaction. Whether it's a farm, ranch, recreational, or even investment property, we provide the expertise and integrity you can trust. Looking to buy or sell? We offer a premier selection of properties and a marketing strategy designed to get you results. From productive farmland to recreational retreats, we help you maximize your investment. Visit www.highpointlandcompany.com today and experience the difference. High Point Land Company, a true leader in land sales.